Marlon Wayans has been making the rounds to promote his new stand-up comedy special, God Loves Me, on HBO, and his new role in the drama movie, Air. While on Drink Champs, Wayans was asked about doing a sequel to White Chicks, which he said wasn't in the works, but is open to the possibility. Wayans also touched on the reboot of Scary Movie franchise now that the Weinstein Company is no longer running. Wayans said the only story that people want to hear is that the Wayans are back, and told Noré and the crew his family are one of the few who can tell jokes about everybody and no one gets offended. Today we have our comedy hype analysts Danielle, Miller, and Pierre calling to the show along with very special guest, comedian Dino Archie, to talk all about it and give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
Listen, one of the most iconic thing is White Chicks. If y'all gonna ever do a White Chicks part?
I would do a White Chicks too, and I think that and return to the Scary Movie franchise.
So Harvey Weinstein owns Scary Movie?
No, they're off.
The Weinstein Company.
They off it. They out.
Off it.
And that's why I would return to it now. I think that it needs a reboot. Only story that people want to hear is the Wayanses are back, because we know how to tell those jokes. Right. There's only certain people that could tell jokes about everybody and nobody get offended.
Now, I know we've talked about different reboots, Pierre, and I'm coming to you first, obviously. We've talked about reboots, right? We had the conversation where some of them we're excited about, some of them we're not, but I'm interested to know, hearing from Marlon Wayans, of Scary Movie coming back, what's your reaction to it?
First of all, I'm a huge fan of Marlon Wayans. In fact, I try to get Marlon on my show, but I guess I don't have the production that, is needed. And I don't smoke and drink on my show. Maybe that might be what it is. But it is what it is. If he wants to do a reboot, power to him. They have the family power. People want to see him again. Like I said, I'm a fan of it. Don't know if it's been too long, between the last ones. So only the people will tell you, by who supports it. But if he comes on the Panic Room, I'll support it.
Well, Marlon, we need to get you on the Panic Room. We need to see you on Pierre's Panic Room. Danielle, let me come over to you. Same thing, we've had this conversation about different reboots. Some people get excited, some don't. Hearing from Marlon Wayans that there's a possibility of the Scary Movie franchise coming back, what's your reaction to it?
Let me first start by saying Pierre is very trapsy. Like, Pierre, I don't understand. But I think for me, I wouldn't want another Scary Movie. I hope y'all don't come for me in the comments, but I wouldn't want another Scary Movie.
They will. And deservedly so.
I think it's been 5 scary movies already. I think what we don't want to see is when things get drawn out too much. I think that's my opinion on it. I think maybe they should come up with something else, and then just carry on from there. But for me, I wouldn't want to see another Scary Movie. I just think it's been drawn out for so long, and we don't want it to be like other movies that we've seen that's already in the 10th, 11th series, and it's just like, okay, we lost the storyline here.
And another thing too, Danielle, that I think is exciting, I think some people know about it, Marlon Wayans does have a new franchise, a haunted house, where it's a spin-off or a parody of a horror movie. I think he obviously has a franchise to continue if they kind of steer away from the Scary Movie. So I don't think you're too far-fetched from what you're saying. But Dino, let me bring you in. First and foremost, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on today's show.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course. Same thing. I want to get your reaction, hearing from Marlon Wayans that there's a possibility of the Wayans brothers rejoining the Scary Movie franchise. What's your reaction to it?
Yeah, first I want to say happy Ramadan for all my Remedians out there. And Pierre, you're petty, and I like that. I like that about you, sir. I think this series, I like White Chicks. I favor White Chicks. I think that series would be right on time. It's timely. It's Karens have never been stronger and more popular. So I think that series comedically would hit would resonate a lot more. And it does seem that there's some ownership issues with scary movie. So I would see it like, maybe they're so good at creating new concepts and new ideas. That's one thing they're not short of. They're masters of the parody. So it'd be awesome to see something, current, but still, in their bag of satire and parody.
Yeah, no, and I think something important that you touched on was the ownership piece. Now, as we know, the Weinstein Company has dissolved, and we kind of seen that fade out. And, he mentions in the clip on Drink Champs that, now the Wayans brothers have the opportunity to come back in. But what I want to do, we actually covered this story about what happened to the Scary Movie franchise, why the Wayans brothers was no longer involved. So I want to take a look at this clip and then come back and get you all's reaction. So let's take a look.
They were evil as fuck. We didn't walk away from a franchise. They didn't want to make our deal, and they snatched it. They just did something. Weinstein's did really terrible. If the art of war was real, then they would be the dynasty that raped and pillaged villages. So it wasn't that we never walked away from our franchise that we created. It was taken, and us being the creatives that we are was like, I bet you now watch what I create.
Yeah, watch what I go.
You can take that. We probably should sue because they probably owe us a shitload of money. Mm-hmm. And maybe one day we will. But that we didn't walk away from our franchise. Them niggas took it. They were fucking fucked up. They were fucked up.
Now, Pierre, I'm coming to you, but I want to make sure things are clarified. So from the beginning, the Wayans brother pretty much, the Wayans brother, because I know they talk about how I say their names, they created Scary Movie, right? But there was no ownership there. Ownership is a big conversation that we're having now, especially in the times that we're in. We've seen this happen with Nick Cannon and Wild 'N Out. Steve Harvey has talked about this with his game shows on Earn Your Leisure. These type of things of where we create these franchises or create these wonderful ideas and then we don't own them. So I want to come to you, Pierre. First, what's your reaction to hearing that? And what do you want to see happen if the Wayans brothers do step back into that Scary Movie franchise now that the Weinstein brothers are no longer, Weinstein Company is no longer involved?
Being in Hollywood, producing stuff, I understand it. A lot of people feel like, just like when you hear people get like $100 million contract, they think, oh, you got $100 million in your pocket. When you find out when it comes down to nuts and bolts and taxes and all that kind of stuff, before you know it, they're sitting on 40 million instead of 100 million or whatever the situation, all the stimulation that goes along with, especially like sports figures. If you score a certain amount of touchdowns, you get a playoffs. It's not always the number you think it is. A lot of stuff is added to it. So even with this business, a lot of times it's not, I remember one time Arsenio Hall told me that he didn't even own his show and stuff. I didn't know. I was surprised. This is back in the early 90s. I was like, what? I didn't realize that. And then I kind of started doing research and finding out and then getting in the business of it. The business is nasty. The thing you see at the end result is what you see looks good. But the whole business itself can be very nasty. But the great thing about the Wayans is they're so creative and funny and, they got such a creative mind that they can continue to put stuff out. It's time for us to own stuff. Own, like as Capone would say, or whoever would say, own it. We got to own the building. We got to own the outlets and so forth. Not just perform for the people who own those stuff, and then you think we own it. But no, you don't get in business with somebody who normally wants to let you own stuff unless you own the platform. And like I said, we don't own a lot of platforms. Shout out to Tyler Perry, he does. We need more Tyler Perry, in our stuff. And I think the Wayans brothers have that to become a Tyler Perry in a situation to own it because they are so talented.
Absolutely. Now, Pierre, sometimes I like talking junk to you, but I want to big you up because I think you've done a great job of creating your own and being able to have that ownership, whether it's your show, different movies that you produce. How do you maintain that? How do you keep the will to make sure that you're in control of the things that you do create?
For one is to be willing not to go for the shiny coin. I know I'm talented. I know my penmanship is ridiculous. Everything I write, I'm a man of character. Regardless of what y'all may think, I'm a man of character. If I say we're gonna do it, we do it. My team, my people around me, I get stuff done. And that's the only way I can think of. I don't care about having millions of dollars. I want the stuff get done because sometimes you worry about millions of dollars. You wait for somebody to give you the money and you'll never get it done. I'm the kind of person who will get it done. Like my, and you use certain things to get other things. Comedy Hype helped me get my own podcast. They help me, I help them, they help me. We need to help each other. You know what I'm saying? That's why I big up Comedy Hype so much, because they help other people. You know what I'm saying? And they help me with my platform that I'm still trying to get Marlon Wayans on.
Dino, you called it. He's a little petty, but we love it. We love it. But I do want to come to you, Dino, because I know you just released a special as well. So when it comes to that ownership and negotiating and having those conversations of where your special lives and those things, can you give some backstory in the business on your end as well? Because ownership is important, and we see what happens when you don't have a say-so in the things that you're involved in.
Well, yeah, I want to say salute to Comedy Hype for being that example of a Black-owned platform that covers and gives us a space. And Pierre, everything Pierre said is facts. And I think at this time, I've been doing comedy 12, 13 years from when I first grabbed the mic, Paul. And this has been the best time to own your own material, if you believe in it. So I own all my albums. I've done 4 albums. Just did a special. The only album I don't make money on is the one I did with a record label. So ownership, having 100% ownership in a game you didn't create is almost impossible, or hard to achieve. Hollywood being that game. Coming back to the Wayans family, they ushered in a new style of comedy in the 80s with Hollywood Shuffle and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. And that was just in the 80s. So that hadn't happened before. So we're almost new to this game, even though we've been around the whole time and our talent has been used, but we didn't create it. And that's not a new thing. That's been happening since Uncle Tom's Cabin with Josiah Henson. That was his story. And Harriet Beecher Stowe took that story and sold the most books damn near of all time. So I think if we're going to do something about it, right now is the best time to own as much of your material as possible. And with the Wayans brothers, they've used Hollywood and been used by Hollywood mutually. So they have the platform and the name, to do something independently, if that's what they wanted to do.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of people would ride one, including myself. Now, Danielle, I'm going to come to you, and I know how you love facts, so I'm going to lay up a couple of facts before I ask the same question to you. So an article says all 3 Wayans brothers will return for the 2001 sequel, Scary Movie 2, another financial success with $141 million on a $45 million budget. But they were shut out of their own franchise, starting with Scary Movie 3. Wayans revealed the decision came down abruptly and he was fired from the Weinsteins behind his back. He would go on to say, "We read on Christmas Eve that they were going with someone else for Scary Movie 3. We probably could have sued or whatever, but part of us was like, all you can do is allow us to create something new. I could write a book on the whole thing, honestly. They definitely still owe us money, lots of money. What they did was really bad business." Danielle, if we see, the Wayans come back into this franchise, Scary Movie, whether people want to see it or not, right? Because it's something that they did create. What are you hoping to see, or what are you hoping to happen now that, that experience has happened?
I would hope for them to learn from their mistakes and really take a look at the contract and have ownership in what they're doing. Like, just not return to the franchise, but really try to attain a majority stake inside the franchise. Like, make sure that there's leverage. And what comes to my mind when I hear this discussion going on is Friday. Ice Cube is fighting to get Friday and the rights for that. So we've seen how these big studios hold ideas by our people in our community captive and have used them for their own lucrative gain, for their pockets, and then decide to cut them out once they've already reached the pinnacle of success. Tyler Perry, Pierre mentioned Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry spoke about it in terms of TBS. I most believe it was when it came to House of Pain and taking his work there. And then when ratings started to go up for that network, they cut him out. So that's how networks and corporate basically uses us, because one thing that's very important is support. I don't think we realize the power that the community has when it comes to support and buying power. And that's all that matters to these companies, is how much money is spent at the end of the day. So if we learn to leverage that and really put our economic power to good use, we wouldn't have these situations like the Wayans brothers or an Ice Cube. Also too, I just want to shout out Comedy Heist. Y'all make sure to continue to support Comedy Heist and subscribe to the channel. So those are my thoughts on that.
Here's an easy business slogan. If you sign their contract, you'll always be on your back.
Could you explain? Yeah, no.
If you sign their contract, you'll always be on your back.
So let me ask you this, Pierre, because I was going to come to you with this question. Is there ever a time where it makes sense to sell or to, not have that ownership, where, you have some people that come up with ideas and they sell them to networks or, whatever the case? Is there ever a time where it makes sense, or how do you tell the difference of like something that, hey, no, I need to own this, or something that is just like, hey, I can give this up. I don't mind, handing this off or signing their contract?
Well, yeah, if it's a pivot move, if you can get money from somebody selling off something that'll get you something bigger, sure, why not? But it's a chance you got to take. If you believe in yourself the first time to do it on your own, now someone wants to come in and buy it, sure. Sometimes I've seen people buy stuff that wasn't successful after you left it. Do you know what I'm saying? Then you take the money you got, and if you see another lane, and you might want to, let's say you want to own your own studio, and somebody says, here, I want to buy this, and I'll give you $50 million to buy, this podcast or whatever. And that $50 million will get you your own business, your own entity, have your own business. If it directly does that, you might be able to give them that. Let someone else do the podcast. It may be a failure because you're not attached to it. But that money might get you into another whole thing where you have podcasts, movies, sitcoms, another situation. If that's a smart move, that's a pivot move. So it's not necessarily you have to be afraid to give away, sell something that's yours, but just make sure it works for you on the next situation. Level up. That's all you're doing is leveling up.
Yeah, no, I love it. And again, Pierre, I know we talk junk to you all the time, but I really do appreciate having your insight, because I know there's so much that you do behind the scenes, and I've witnessed it before. So I appreciate you so much. Dino, I'm coming over to you. I want to talk about same thing with you. If let's talk about with the record label. I don't know if you like how much insight you can give there, but if there's not a lot of cash flow coming through there, what would be the the willingness to want to partner there or make that relationship happen?
Well, that's going to Pierre's point when he said, there's sometimes you pivot. So I had already done 3 albums, and then on the 4th, it says, okay, let's see if we could mutually use each other, if I could benefit from the record label. But the record label, as Ye put it, I'm not going to say I agree with everything he said. I don't want to get your channel taken down. But he had some good points. And the record label business in the industries, all these industries are predatory. And why wouldn't they be? Why would you not, if you create the business and have the paperwork? I mean, that's not ideal for the artist, but you as an artist, you have to become an owner too, or you'll always be auditioning. That's what I found out. And I don't like auditioning all the time. I like creating my own work, and anything that I have done as far as other opportunities came from something that I created independently. That's what got me on this show right now, was I did the special, and I've done shows or albums before that Comedy Hype has gotten behind. So, again, it's an ecosystem that we need. If we're talking about a collective, a Black collective, we need an ecosystem of support. Like Daniela was saying, we need support, we need production, and we have all that, but some people don't want to bet on themselves and they got other fears or responsibilities. So that would be a reason, why you might have to take some deal that you wouldn't want to. My pullout game is strong. I don't want to be offensive. I don't have those responsibilities. So I can say no to certain things and work on what I'm building, and keep betting on myself. So if anybody's hearing this, no, not if, they do hear it, because I watch the show and many people will be hearing this. Hopefully they are inspired or already on their path. I'm inspired by a lot of artists I see on Instagram and fellow comedians and singers and whoever that is betting on themselves and taking that stepping on that faith.
Come on, no, faith over fear every time. I love it. Go ahead, Danielle. I want to come to you because as someone who's coming up in this industry, right? How are you navigating to make sure that the things that you're creating, you have the ownership, or that you're making the right moves to not step in something that, years later you may be in a sticky situation?
A whole lot of studying, a whole lot of teamwork. There was I had a situation before where my show Sis, there was a company that wanted the show and to air on their platform. And then when I looked at what they were offering, basically what they were saying was, okay, we're gonna have this. This is for your exposure. We're gonna run ads on this and you get nothing. So I had to talk to some of my friends and family about it that are very wise and know accounting, because sometimes you do things because you're not as confident in yourself. And they spoke to me and they said, you know what, you're already 2 seasons into this show. You haven't had any heavy budgets. We don't think that you should give this away for free. And from that, I was able to turn that deal down, because sometimes you honestly don't see the magnitude of your work. Other people see it. So you really have to have proper guidance around you. Mentorship is very important as well, because it's just some things that you don't know. There's some things that took experience, and not everybody has the capability of having a lawyer, which in some of your lawyers might swing you. So that's why it's important to have great mentorship. I remember Master P, he said that he spent a great amount of money just to sit down and talk to Michael Jackson. And that was just to gain some knowledge. So for anybody that's coming up in the industry, I would tell them the most important thing is to have a team that's riding for you through and through, and that only have your best interest at heart. Doesn't have to be a big team. Somebody you can just call every now and then and say, hey, I have something I want you to listen to, and then have a mentor who you study from. And also too, YouTube is a university. There's a lot of interviews of artists and people in the industry that signed bad deals in the past.
Yes.
And they give their account of it. So just study that. You're always a student, always a student.
Okay, two quick points. One is Dino said, can women have a good pullout game too? I'm talking about in business. I'm just asking. I don't know. Do y'all have a good pullout game in business? Dino said it. Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay. The second one is I hear what Danielle's saying. She's correct. But let me tell any young artist getting into this business, it's scary when you start seeing contracts, and when you think about your career, you're unsure of things. It is scary. We all get scared of certain things. At a certain part of our career, we don't want to know if we're making the right mistakes, or the right moves. I mean, not right mistake, but mistakes, or the right moves. We get nervous. Don't worry. It's with all of us. It ain't always going to be perfect. Sometimes you will lose in situations. Trust me. You're going against more negativity than positivity. Just be honest. I'm just letting you know that as a young artist out there. But just have to believe in this. Believe in you belong there, and this is what you want to do. And that will help you fight and get through a lot of mistakes you make. Sometimes you'll sign a contract that's not right, or a situation that's not right. You're not getting paid what you want to. But you must believe in yourself so strong that you'll say, you know what? I will overcome that. I will overcome that mistake I made. Because like I said, we're all going to be nervous. Well, should I sign this contract? Should I go with these people here? Should I do this? Sometimes you guys say, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and do it. If it's a mistake, it's okay. I believe I'm in it to win it. Everything ain't going to last forever. That's what I would tell any artist. That's what helped me get through stuff. I just believe I belong. I belong. Even in the comments or whatever, and people say, no, now you whack. Well, I belong. You're not going to stop me, okay? I will be on Comedy Hype tomorrow, unless God takes me. I will be next week. My podcast will come out again next week. I believe in myself. You must believe in yourself so much that you won't let nothing bother you. Okay, so that's what it is. If you're so scared and worried about it, things happen to people. My man Dino, he had a bad deal with the record company, but Dino ain't stopping. Dino, keep on going. You with Sis, they gave you that situation. You're like, you know what? I didn't go with it. Maybe you would have went with it and they would have took advantage of you, but that's all right. You're here for the long run. And that's all I can tell any artist out there. Be in it for the long run. If one thing disturbs you, you ain't really belong in this business.
Darn it, Pierre, I wish I would have asked my question before, because that was like the perfect closeout For the show. Okay, but I'll rephrase it. I'll rephrase it then, Pierre. What's the code that you stick to? And maybe you've already answered it. Maybe this would just be you reiterating it. Because even when you think of like Fox, for example, right? They had different black sitcoms that they would use to build them up and then kick them out. One of those being In Living Color. We've seen Keenan leave because they were running reruns that he didn't like, and he didn't have the ownership, right? And then now we're seeing this happen again. So what is the code that you have to where, you know, whether you're in these situations or, I mean, and again, I don't know your whole life story, but where you've avoided not being in these sticky situations, what's the code that Pierre has you know, used throughout his career?
To be honest with you, there was no code. I made a lot of mistakes. I walked away from $250,000 on some deals that I think now, man, I should have took the deal. It's part of life, you know. Remember, like the main thing I said, I belong here. I belong here. So I'm going to go through some ups and downs. I'm going to make some mistakes. I will be used. I will use others. It is a business, okay? It is what it is, but I belong. As long as you believe that you belong, all the other mistakes and all that, it's going to happen. Remember that you're a person that you're coming from no knowledge of this business, going against people who have years of experience of knowledge to take advantage of you. You got to circumvent through that kind of stuff as a person who doesn't have knowledge. Like Danielle said, if you don't have a lawyer, maybe look online and hear some stuff, but you will be making mistakes. Do not come in this business afraid to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
No. It's like, what better way to end it there? Like, I have to end it there, Pierre, because you're amazing. And again, no, I appreciate the wisdom. And, you know, what I really love, and I know I always brag on the show, but I love, like, you know, no matter where someone is in their career, I feel like the things that we discuss here and the different perspectives, they'll be able to apply it. So no matter whether you're new in the business or you've been in the business for a long time, I think this conversation, you know, it could definitely be helpful to someone. So I appreciate you all for chiming in on this topic. Of course, before we head out, I'd like to know what you have going on. So Mr. Dino Archie, since you joined us today, again, we thank you for being here. I want to start with you. What do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
Again, thank you for having me. Follow me at Dino the Beloved on Instagram or my website, dinoarchie.com. I just dropped a special, independently, 100% Black owned, toxic but safe. It's hella funny if you like toxic, over the line, offensive. Well, not yet, stepping on the line. I'm a line dancer. I dance on it, tap dance on the line. And so come over there, download that, support your boy. I appreciate you guys' comedy. How everyone here. Amazing a conversation with you guys. I want to go run a marathon right now. Goddamn, I'm motivated.
Go ahead. We love it. Now, Danielle, I'm coming. I will say, Danielle, it's been a while since we've seen the outside of Bahamas. So it's about, like, we need a change of scenery because it's, you know, it's cold in Georgia. Danielle, you're the only sunshine I get consistently. But what do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
So don't worry, I'll be back next week outside. Today we have a bit of rainy weather because we have a cold system coming in. And our cold system is about 68 degrees. So that's not really cold for y'all. So what I have coming up is, of course, new episodes of Sis. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, DENIELLE. Those new episodes will be coming out this summer. You can follow me on Instagram at DEEA Miller. On Twitter, it's the same thing. And then you can catch me on Comedy Hype every Tuesday. Here, make sure you subscribe. And also shout out to everybody that was on the panel today. We always have great conversations here, and it's such it's laughter and it's knowledge at the same time. So it's an excellent channel.
Always a good time. Last and certainly not least, you know, with the button up on, because I've been nice the whole time. So, you know, he done came with a button up, you know, Mr. Pierre the Great. What do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
All right. First, shout out to my man Dino for being on here as a guest. Dino, you from Canada?
No, I'm from Fresno.
I'm about to say, you said hella too many times, okay? Homie? You said hella too many times to be from Canada, okay? I'm about to say, hell no, okay? They infiltrating us up there now. Is that what they doing? The hella up in Canada? All right, and shout out to lovely Danielle. Yeah, we need a different background now. You know, that looks like, you know, garage now. I want to see the sunshine. Make me feel good, okay? Okay, make me feel like I'm there. And also the beautiful Symphony as always. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
Enjoying it. This week and this Sunday, I'll be in Chicago at Tavern at Midway for 4 o'clock and the 7 o'clock show. It's a grown and sexy show. Shout out to to all the folks over there, my boy Jeff and the whole crew for putting it on. If you're in Chicago area, right by the airport. And the weekend after that, the 21st, I'll be back in the DMV, my hometown, DC, Maryland, Virginia area in Bowie at what is that place called? Party HQ, doing 2 shows with my man Mike Brooks. For all the other people, man, who always watch us and support us, thank y'all so much. Like I said, I enjoy it. That's why I'm here 3 days a week. I ain't going nowhere else. I'm gonna get on your nerves. I'm gonna teach you whatever you want, whichever way you want it, it's gonna come.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Again, I appreciate all of y'all for chiming in on this topic. I normally leave it with what y'all have going on, but I have a show that I own as well called Black Friday Report that airs on Fridays at 8 p.m. on Peachtree TV, which I licensed to Peachtree TV. So there's still ownership here. It's going to be mine. So make sure you guys check it out, Black Friday Report on Friday at 8 p.m. But as for this topic, Marlon Wayans, we want to see you on Pierre's Panic Room and on Comedy Hype. So stop playing.
White chicks. White chicks.
There we go. Man, Karens unite. No, but again, I appreciate you all for chiming in on this topic. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Marlon Wayans revealing why he would return to Scary Movie? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Each one, teach one.
That's a good one. That need to be on I like that one. Big fan of the Comedy Hype News Show? Well, now you can join us live in studio for lunch at Comedy Hype. Click the link down below in our description or go to our Instagram page and click the link in our bio for your chance to RSVP. I hope to see you here for Comedy Hype News. I'm Symphony Thompson.